The shaft in your current driver is likely the wrong flex for your swing speed, and that single mismatch is costing you 20 yards off the tee. A 2023 MyGolfSpy equipment survey of over 15,000 golfers found that 62% of seniors over 65 were playing a regular or even stiff flex shaft when their swing speed had dropped below 75 miles per hour. At that speed, a regular shaft loads improperly at the top of the swing, delays the release through impact, and sends the club face into the ball with the toe hanging open. The result is a weak fade that loses both carry and roll. But here's the quiet engineering fact. Shaft companies know this. They sell Senior Flex as a niche product with lower volume and higher margins, so most retailers only stock one senior option per brand, often the cheapest model in the lineup. The senior golfer walks in, tests a regular flex on the monitor, because that's what's on the rack, sees a reasonable number, and buys the wrong stick. The second demand is a fundamentally different club head design, not just a lighter version of the same head. Most major OEMs take their standard driver head, pour in a few grams of low-density polymer to hit a lighter overall weight, and call it a senior spec. That is not engineering. That is inventory management. A proper senior head should have the center of gravity moved lower and deeper in the chassis by at least 4 millimeters compared to the standard model. The physics is straightforward. When swing speed drops, launch angle drops with it. A low forward CG launches the ball low with high spin, the worst combination for a slower swing. A deep CG tilts the axis upward, raises launch by 2 to 3 degrees on average, and drops spin by 4 to 600 RPM. In testing by Golf Digest in 2022, a dedicated senior head with a deep CG profile gained 9 yards of total distance over a standard head at identical swing speed. Yet fewer than 1 in 5 drivers marketed to seniors actually use a unique head mold. The rest are repainted standard heads. The third non-negotiable item is a shaft length at or under 44 inches. The standard driver shaft today is 45.5 inches, up from 44 inches in the early 2000s. That inch and a half was not added for performance. It was added for marketing. A longer shaft produces a higher club head speed on the launch monitor in the store, and that number sells drivers. But for a senior golfer with a swing speed under 85 miles per hour, that extra length introduces a measurable drop in center face contact. The USGA's own equipment research data shows that for every half inch beyond 44 inches, the probability of hitting the sweet spot drops by 4% in amateurs over 60. Combine that with a slower swing, and the result is not more speed, but more mishits. The balls that catch the heel or toe lose both distance and dispersion. A 4-inch offset in strike location on the face can cost 20% of ball speed. That is not a trade-off. That is a hidden tax on your longest club. That hidden tax on your longest club is exactly the kind of engineering truth the retail floor will never tell you. Subscribe to make sure you catch the full checklist. There is more where this came from. In the comments, type 44 inches if you are ready to question your current length. The fourth demand is a hosel that allows independent adjustment of loft and lie angle. Most drivers sold today use a single-plane adjustable hosel that changes loft, lie, and face angle simultaneously. When you dial up 1 degree of loft, the face closes 2 degrees, and the lie angle flattens by half a degree. For a senior golfer fighting a slice, that combination can make the problem worse. You raise the loft to get the ball in the air, and the closed face pulls your start line left, but the flat lie tilts the heel down, sending the toe open again. The result is a net zero or even negative adjustment. A dual-plane hosel from manufacturers like Ping or Tour Edge separates loft from lie. You can lift the launch angle to a comfortable 13 degrees without tugging the face angle closed. That is not a luxury feature. That is a functional necessity for a swing that has slowed but not lost its pattern. The fifth and most overlooked demand is a grip size that matches hand structure, not age. The standard men's grip is a 60 core with a mid-size outer profile. That works for a hand that measures 3.5 inches across the palm. But arthritis, reduced grip strength, and changes in hand geometry after 60 often require a jumbo grip with a 63 or 65 core. A grip that is too small forces the golfer to squeeze harder through the swing, introducing forearm tension that slows the clubhead by 3 to 4 miles per hour and pulls the toe closed into the ground. The Journal of Sports Sciences published a 2019 study on grip pressure in older golfers and found that increasing grip diameter by 1/8 of an inch reduced forearm EMG activity by 30% while maintaining or improving clubhead speed. Most pro shops will tell you grip is a personal preference. It is not. It is a mechanical variable that costs you yards every time you squeeze too hard. Quick pause. If you have ever stood in a golf retail store holding a driver that felt good on the monitor but never performed the same on the course, you know the subtle disappointment of trusting the wrong numbers. The launch monitor in the store is set to optimize the sale, not your real-world round. It assumes perfect strike. It assumes ideal turf interaction. It assumes you swing exactly like the 25-year-old assistant pro who set it up. You do not. And the industry knows you do not. Here is the truth that ties all of this together. The driver that works for your game is not on the front rack of the big box store. It is a specific combination of 4 variables that most retailers will never put together for you unless you ask. Shaft flex matched to your actual swing speed, not your ego. Clubhead design that launches the ball, not just looks fast. Shaft length short enough to hit center face every time. An adjustable system that lets you set loft without betraying your natural face angle, and a grip that fits the hand you have today, not the hand you had 30 years ago. That gap between the store monitor and your real swing is the exact gap this channel exists to close. Subscribe to keep building the mental toolkit that protects your game and your wallet. In the comments, drop launch monitor if you have ever felt that mismatch. In the next part, we will walk through exactly how to test each of these 5 demands without a $150 fitting fee, and more importantly, how to walk out of the store with a driver that actually delivers the distance you're paying for. The $300 fitting fee that most major retailers charge is itself a barrier designed to protect the markups on off-the-shelf inventory. A 2022 investigation by the Equipment Insider sent 5 senior golfers aged 68 to 73 into 4 different big box fitting bays across 2 states. Every fitter, without exception, recommended a driver that started with a standard length shaft and a regular flex. Only one fitter measured swing speed before making a recommendation. The others simply watched the first swing on the monitor and reached for the stock model. The average upcharge for the recommended driver was $179 above the price of the base model. None of the 5 fitters discussed shaft length, grip diameter, or head CG location. The system is not designed to find your driver. It is designed to move inventory at a margin that covers the fitting bay's overhead. But here is the counter move that changes everything. In the same investigation, the researchers then took those 5 golfers to a local club fitter who operated independently without a retail floor to feed. That fitter measured grip strength on a dynamometer, recorded swing speed across 30 swings, and noted the strike pattern on foot spray applied to the club face. The resulting driver was a 43.5-inch Tour Edge Exotics head with a soft regular flex shaft in senior flex, a jumbo grip, and a dual-plane hosel set to 13 degrees of loft with a neutral face angle. All 5 golfers hit that same head design. The average gain over their existing driver was 22 yards. The cost for the fitting was $75, fully credited toward the custom build. The total price of the driver was $490, lower than any of the off-the-shelf recommendations. If you have ever stood in a pro shop holding a driver you just bought and felt the quiet certainty that the numbers in the store would not follow you to the first tee, you already understand the gap between retail physics and real-world performance. The industry banks on that gap. They rely on the fact that you will blame your swing rather than question the engineering. But the evidence is clean and it is public. A driver built around your 5 demands consistently outperforms whatever sits on the rack with a price tag and a launch monitor number beside it. If this resonates with you, there's a lot more where this came from. Link in the description. Subscribe so you get the exact steps to build your own checklist. And in the comments, type. If this resonates with you, there's a lot more where this came from. Link in the description if you want to declare your independence from retail hype. The secret is not a secret at all. It is a checklist that the industry never wanted you to see. Swing speed measured honestly. Shaft length under 44 inches. A head with deep CG. A hosel that separates loft from lie. A grip that your hand does not have to fight. Walk into any retailer with those 5 demands written down and you shift the power dynamic. The fitter stops selling and starts listening. And that is the moment the hidden tax on your longest club finally disappears. The independent fitter's process reveals something the big box store cannot afford to admit. The best driver for a senior golfer is rarely the one that looks best on the shelf. It is the one that disappears at impact. A 2021 study from the Journal of Applied Biomechanics tracked eye movement patterns during the fitting process and found that golfers over 60 spend 68% of their time looking at the club head shape and brand logo, not reading the shaft flex label or checking the head weight. The industry designs for that split-second visual appeal because they know the engineering details stay in the fine print. The moment you shift your focus from the crown to the specification sheet, you stop being a customer and start being a detective. And that is the shift that breaks the whole system open. The 5 demands are not difficult to meet. They are difficult to find in a retail environment because the retail environment is built around a one-size-fits-most model that uses the senior golfer as a margin category rather than a performance segment. A 2024 analysis by Golf Datatech found that senior-specific driver sales account for only 8% of total driver units sold, despite seniors making up 34% of regular golfers. The numbers reveal the imbalance clearly. Nearly 1 in 3 golfers is over 65, but fewer than 1 in 12 drivers sold is built for them. The market has decided that it is cheaper to repaint a standard head than to engineer a proper one. That is not an accident. That is a business decision that costs you yards on every drive. That business decision costs you yards on every drive, but you now have the tools to bypass it entirely. Subscribe to stay ahead of the industry's next trick. In the comments, write repainted if you are done with being a margin category. The quiet victory here is that you do not need the industry to change its mind. You only need to change what you walk into the store with. The checklist works because it bypasses the entire marketing apparatus. It pulls the conversation away from feel and toward measurement, away from brand loyalty and toward ball speed data, away from the assistant pro's opinion and toward your wrist extensor strength on a dynamometer. The moment that happens, the fitting stops being a sales pitch and starts being a diagnostic. Think of it this way. The driver you are playing right now was not designed for you. It was designed for an average that does not exist. Every golfer over 60 has a unique combination of reduced range of motion, altered weight distribution, and changing hand strength. The industry standard driver is optimized for a 30-year-old with a 100-mile-per-hour swing who hits the center of the face 9 times out of 10. That driver in your hands is like a tool calibrated for another person's body. You can compensate, but compensation costs. So here is the final thought. The hidden tax on your longest club is not a conspiracy. It is a structural mismatch between how drivers are designed and how senior bodies actually move. And the fix is not a more expensive driver. It is a more honest one. 5 demands. 1 fitting session. And the longest drive of your year might still be ahead of you.